The whole point is it's a facade. The whole point is to present legitimacy.
Hello, everybody. Yeah. Some energy going. Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. It was really funny because at 1:45, there were 3 of us in here. 3, 4? Yeah. It looked quiet. I mean, the truth about these things is you do the same show whether you've got like in a full house or nobody. So, but it's still so much nicer when there's a full house. So thank you all so much for coming tonight. Welcome to Right On Right Now. My name is Jen Frankel. I'm your host for the evening. And I'm looking forward to just hearing what everyone is bringing to the table tonight. I never know what's going to happen on these nights. That's the big pleasure with it. Gonna say 10 minutes absolute max. If you come to me and you have 11 minute something and you can let me know before you go up, just let me know before you go up. I try not to cut people off, but I do also really love using this, the lights. So if you can look at the back, green light means you're okay. Yellow light means we've just hit the 8-minute mark and you should be trying to wrap up. And red light means, well, yeah, it means finish your thought and then get the hell off this. Yes. Yeah. That's what I need. I need one of those shepherd's crooks, right? Yeah. I used to, yeah. I used to make paper airplanes and throw them at the writer who was taking up too much time. I don't think my aim's not that good anymore, and I put everything on my phone, so I don't have paper.
Throw your phone at them.
I suppose I could do that too. Well, yeah. If worse comes to worse, I'll just actually like rush you and take you out like football. Football style. Actually, my roommate is out tonight watching SmackDown. Does anybody watch wrestling? This is the big weekend for wrestling. This is WrestleMania. Yeah, so I think whatever's happening, I think it's in LA. Sorry, not in Las Vegas. Yeah. Oh no, they. Oh, yeah. No, we actually went to I took him to a wrestling match last year at the Germania Club that was absolutely amazing. People jumping off the second floor balconies and stuff like that. We were lucky we got to see this guy called Jack Cartwheel, who's now, he's now in the Bush Leagues for the real WWE. He's getting close to the big time. And we saw him, I think we saw him in Parkdale. But yeah, anyhow, wrestling, totally got nothing to do with what's happening here, I don't think. I could be wrong, though, and that's one of the nice things about nights like this. So my name is Jen Frankel, as I said. I am a writer. I write lots of different kinds of things. I had a story that appeared a few years ago in an anthology called Futuristic Canada. It was done in Toronto, but had people from all around the world in it. So I'm actually going to read you the story that I put in Futuristic Canada. It's called Lingua Franca. And it might help to know, just because you can't see it on the page, that the main character who's going to be addressing you is speaking partly to you as an audience in an interview that she's doing with a frank Canadian talk show host. Canada has been taken over in part by the United States, and we're down to the Maritimes, Quebec, and a part of Ontario. And we've also gone to a language that's a mixture of French and Canadian just to piss off the Americans. So my character has actually just defected from the United States. Conditional release from defection housing on the condition of this. A live streaming interview with a frank Canadian talk show host. Thank God they're letting me do it in American. Sorry? Oh, right. The defection itself. Me, I made my move in the middle of un samedi après-midi à la grande jatte. I was playing Helena, the feisty and yet vulnerable whore. Prostitute. Sex worker. I forget sometimes where I am. Can you bleep that? Great. Big toothy grin for the camera. Oh, of course, no more swearing. I'd hate to make your censors stay late because of my American potty mouth. Oh, they're unionized. Well, lucky them, but even worse for you if I let my PC slip and they end up scoring overtime on your dime, right? Yes, in the middle of La Grande Jatte, and I was playing the woman of the après-midi. Does that work for you? God, I love euphemisms. Politeness forces you to. Oh, can I say God? Okay, I promise next time it will be in the proper sacred context and not used as a swear. When did I decide? Well, that's hard to answer, and also, well, somewhat obvious, I guess. Have you seen where I came from? Yeah, the US of NA. I know all the funny things Frank-Canadian comics have come up with to recoin that acronym. The unkind sons of nasty Aryans, useless scoundrels of national abomination. Oh yeah, I just came up with that last one, and I know it's not good. But I'm a serious actress, not a stand-up comic. No one goes into stand-up across the border anymore, and you know about that too, right? Inciting political unrest is a capital offense. And I know comedians are always joking about dying on stage, but yeah, exactly. Dying off stage is forever. Pour toujours. Did I get that right? Smiles again, pretends not to notice the slightly superior downturn of the host's nose. Yeah, buddy, but I'm trying. I really am. So, yes, I made a dash into the audience right in the middle of the second act, thinking of Baryshnikov and that he'd have been a hell of a lot more graceful. Made it to the lobby, which counts as Frank-Canadian soil, as you know. You've probably seen it all thanks to socialized media. Yeah, that's a joke I probably should have left back across the border. But it's set in love. It really is. I love everything socialized here. The medicine, the employment benefits, the legal representation if you get into trouble, not to mention the rehabilitation classes. Yeah, I'm about halfway through the Frank-Canadian history package, in fact, and I can tell you what North Americans are told is nothing like the truth. Nod seriously because this stuff just got real. I'm censoring my own thoughts now. But adoption requires adjustment for both the adoptee and the new parents, and I am not going back to the States. No way. Language, yeah, too. We did Samedi in Frank-Canadian, right? I had to learn the whole thing syllable by syllable phonetically. But it was such a great experience. It really taught me how to love the amazing synthesis of, well, you know, of how two disparate cultures can come together and thrive. It's the Frank-Canadian way, right? Pause, because I'm actually getting applause on this turkey of a suck-up line. Big sigh, but keep it inside. I do really love this place, and it's not just because I hate where I came from so much. Sorry. No, you're not boring me. I guess I'm still somewhat traumatized, although I know I'm one of the lucky ones. I met a young man at the Department of Defection Services when I was doing my intake examination. He'd come up from Mexico State, and he was a mess. He'd walked about 400 miles on a pair of last century's Air Jordans, and they had him up to his knees in ice. His story? Oh my. Not God, don't say God. Oh my word. It was tragic. He'd been sent to the camps after the Hispanic insurrection and hadn't seen or talked to his family since. He was only 17. How does anyone do that to a kid? I know he's hardly the youngest who fled from separation and cultural reassignment. How do you like that euphemism? Serve? Well, I hope there's some Frank-Canadian version of the USO where I can put my talents to use. I can dance in a chorus line, but don't expect me to shoot straight. No, of course, I don't mean that. I know what it means to serve your country, or your, adopted country in my case. And of course I would serve if I was drafted. It frightens me, and I'm not too proud to admit it, when I think about the US of NA forces marshalling on the Ontario-New Brunswick borders, not to mention across the river in Maine and Vermont. I do pray that our great eastern border holds firm. But those newfies are tough, right? No plans to get back on stage. Not yet. I mean, doing the last show in Frank-Canadian was pretty demanding, and I I feel that as a monolinguistic English-speaking actress, it really is my job to get the language down before I take any jobs away from native speakers. Thank you. I'm trying. After all, being polite is the frank Canadian way. And I hope it doesn't get you all killed. Thank you. So that's kind of how it goes tonight. I think we've got a wide variety of different kinds of writing happening tonight, and some storytelling too, maybe, and maybe some philosophizing. So I'm very, very happy to turn the microphone over to our first guest of the evening. Please join me in welcoming from Toronto. I don't know if I should actually say that. There's nobody has a big hate on for Toronto here, right? No? No, okay, good. Please join me in welcoming Jennifer Venner.
Wow, this is a big crowd. Hi, yes, I am from Toronto, though not originally from Toronto. I'm from London, which is where Jen's from, and we grew up together, sort of, kind of. So I've known her for a long time. So I had a thing that I'm not reading, so now I'm reading another thing. Yeah, it's kind of short because it's an excerpt from a 900-page thing that 890 pages of probably is extraneous, but here's a little bit of it. It's based on the time after I divorced my spouse and set off on a life of making a lot of mistakes. So I recommend it to everyone. I was married to a Russian. I had 2 kids. I still have them. They're still alive. That's, I think, all you really need to know to hear this piece. A shroud of nostalgia, the Russian burden of memory unredeemed by action or resolve. Sergei wrote to me anxiously about photos of the kids I'd seemingly plundered from the family home. When will I return them? He has fossilized our marriage in the sediment of that house, which creaks and settles into complacency. Toys from the small years rust and cluster like bunches of old nails. Cheerful Lego bones, Barbie corpses, fairy tales with evil stepsisters cutting off their heels and toes to fit the glass slipper of the perfect marriage. Their eyes are plucked out by vengeful black birds at Cinderella's wedding. Old school, Old Testament high drama for tots. Sergei's regret harbors and cossets them. They crouch in the basement, baleful and resentful. His nostalgia papers the walls with bizarre configurations of photos, ugly paintings, because he tried out being an artist. If squares could limp or flop, if red could be pale and cowering, he has achieved greatness. Unmoored in their moorings, unhappy, crowded, or left alone in a corner. Pictures of me, though not by me, as I took most of the baby photos, have melted away, replaced by skiing, camping, Egypting. My absence is like a gaping presence, a gape in the bleached smile. I would never have not lived in the catacombs of my failures, not in actuality, at any rate. Sergei haunts the benign sepulcher of that boring, ugly house made ugly and brooding by the memories of every wail and crash, of every raised word and fist, of every blank stare into nothingness. Our sweat and toil to make the ugly less ugly, to make the mediocre something passable to family and friends. Sergei's regret and nostalgia is a testament to the limits of his imagination. He had no grandiose schemes, no places of time and mind. I learned today how the Jews made time the temple in place of the monument. Shabbat can be celebrated anywhere. It is when that matters. No faults or diversions to tempt him away from his quest for normal, or at least his quest to make me normal. I was his project. My edges needed to be filed down, my claws removed, the glow of madness dulled and stilled. But Sergei wasn't living with a mad woman. He lived with a mad woman, angry, chained to his mediocrity and resentment, furied, chafing, bleeding internally when she wasn't outwardly hostile and unsubdued. She went into the bottle of smoke. She puffed and quaffed and despaired in their urban bohemia. She had everything, and she was not satisfied. Sex. We were resexing. The first intimate act in each repetition wore grooves into the experience until our respective pieces, receptacle, probe, fit like a ball joint. Inevitable, yes, but completely devoid of the majesty of the sublime. I can picture every time we had sex perfectly because we had the same sex for 20 years. And for this, Sergei wanted to strive to preserve, when necessary, with his puerile self-groping in blue glow of computer screen, late night, early morning. I left him to it. Love dolls with their smooth, passportless lips and cunts drugged by their kidnappers, wrapped in porn site cellophane, shipped in digital packets along phone lines, deposited into the gasps of the men who can call it a hobby. Torrents and gushes of slick bitches begging them to be real men. Oh, Sergei showed them all right. I'm sure he made them clamor and wail. They don't even know what orgies of servitude they'd availed themselves. They don't know where they fit in the dreams of the 21st century Western man. Thank you.
Give it up again for Jennifer. Now, I need to mention, we are streaming tonight. We stream live to YouTube. If you do not want to participate in the stream, we just have to let me know before you go up, and we will make sure that the video is turned off and the audio is turned off for that section. If you do want to be streamed and you would like to actually take home a copy of your performance for the night, we can also do that for you. It's $15, and it actually comes on this wonderful, we've actually got a brilliant 5-camera system here, so you can see the 2 cameras here. It looks really great. So if you want to be able to memorialize your performance tonight, just talk to Jake at the bar or to George. Next, please join me in welcoming our next reader, Mahmoud. Man, what a setting, and I can't wait to hear more of that. I hope people come back and share more of that. Definitely want to know where it goes to. Thank you. Can we have another round of applause? Please join us and please join me in welcoming our next reader, who's just come back from I don't know if he'll tell you about it, but a pretty major trip, and most of it wasn't done on any vehicle at all. So please join me in welcoming Eamon. I hope I didn't spoil anything for you.
Good evening, everyone. So, what I'm wearing on my feet is not a fashion statement. And what Jen said is correct. I just came back last week from Morocco. And I'm going to tell you about that story by prefacing what I'm going to start with by saying that I'm going to engage in some plagiarism. So this is storytell right on right now. So I am going to read something to you, but I did not write it. But it was written about me, so that should count. This article was written on the 10th of March. His 40th birthday wish, running across the Sahara Desert. Hamilton's Ayman Nassar, that is me, is getting ready to tackle the grueling 270-kilometer Marathon des Sables. Spoiler alert, he tackled it and he's here telling you about it. A few weeks from now, he'll be running roughly 270 kilometers across the Sahara Desert in Morocco in conditions that will replicate being in a microwave set on high. So how does someone around here get ready for such a scenario? Turn up the heat in the home gym until the paint is melting off the walls, dump a bucket of sand on the treadmill, and then run until every drop of sweat leaves his body? No. Ayman's been prepping by pulling a couple of layers of light clothing and pounding the pavement on icy roads of Hamilton through the dead of a particularly frigid winter. I literally ran when I saw my breath crystallize on my eyelashes when I was here. There are 3 global foot races that stand at the forefront of endurance, perseverance, and hardship. There's the Badwater Ultramarathon, which pushes competitors 217 kilometers through the furnace of California's Death Valley. There's the Barkley Marathons, an event known as the race that eats its young, that's so extreme it's billed as being almost impossible to complete. And there's what I'm attempted, completed. The Marathon des Sables, translation, Marathon of the Sands. Good thing that Canada speaks French, as does Morocco, and they do not speak Arabic. I promise you they don't. The Marathon des Sables is a 6-leg trek that requires running to cover the distance from Hamilton City Hall to the CN Tower and back, twice, while carrying all their own food and survival gear on their backs. Fortunately, the temperatures were mild, only around 20. The sandstorms can become intense. A few decades ago, one racer was lost for 10 days because of them. We did have a sandstorm on the last day, but it was also accompanied by rain, which was very pleasant. If you ever tried running on the beach, you'll know that galloping on sand is much harder than running on solid ground. At the start of the race, I was praying for hard ground and dreading soft sand. By the end of it, I changed my tune completely, and I was begging for soft sand and hating hard grounds. Case in point, my injured left foot. The whole thing sounds less like fun and more like self-inflicted torture, which makes you wonder why anyone on earth would want to do this. Now, I forgot to mention that this newspaper is a fourth of the size of newspapers where I moved from, and it costs 4 times as much. Now, please pay attention to the usage of the number 4. It's very important for the next part of the story. For me, it's a way to celebrate a milestone in life. I was born in April 1986, so I'm turning 40 next week. The race was also created that same month in that same year. So this year was the 40th anniversary of the race. And to celebrate, they gave us an extra 20 kilometers. They stuck it on the long day. Now, the long day is 100 kilometers. Started at 5 a.m. We were up at 3:30. And I completed it in 22 hours, nonstop. They had checkpoints every 7 to 10 kilometers. At the fourth checkpoint of the fourth day, which would have been about 150 kilometers, they rewarded us with this, a buff. No t-shirt, just a buff. So, for me, there was something special about the fact that I turned 40 on the 40th anniversary of the race and that my lucky number is 4. As George was so kind to point out that if you add the numbers in my date of birth, 21st of April, 1986, it adds up to 31. And when you add 3 and 1 together, you get 4. Also, my son was born April 4th. So, to be clear, running is not new to me. I've been running for a very long time. But running this kind of race was something that I never dreamed that I could do until I did it. Until I went there and I signed up. And mind you, when we showed up, as I said, we had to carry everything that we needed on our back. So by that I mean food, clothing, sleeping bag, sleeping mat, and we were placed in a tent that's almost the same size as this stage, in width and in length, with the tent going upwards, open from both sides. On the second night, the wind brought the tent down on our heads. I was lucky enough when I signed up for the race that I asked them to be placed with Arabic speakers. And who should they put me in the tent with? But the people who end up finishing the race in first, second, and third place. The royal family of this race, called the Murabites. There was Rashid, there was Muhammad, and there was their brother Mubarak. Mubarak had to drop out, unfortunately due to an injury. 85 people dropped out of this race, out of 1,500 who signed up. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but one person did die this year in this race. At the end of the third stage, they were helivaced for medical emergency, but they did not survive. The race is not for the faint of heart. The tent behind us was Canadians. And I would have thought that Canadians would come to our aid when our tent fell on top of our heads on the second night. But all I could hear them say was, "Oh, the first place tent just came down. Honey, pass the maple syrup." It was a lot of fun, but if I had to tell you about the worst day, the longest day, I would tell you that I lost all hope at 8 p.m. on the 100-kilometer trek, because after the 92nd kilometer, there's nothing. So they had flags that were set up every 100 or so meters, and those flags were supposed to be reflective. But when I say flags, they use that term very liberally. It was actually straws. So you have a headlamp on, and you're trying to get it reflected off of a straw so you can know where you are going. And if you've ever played first-person shooter games, where all you can see in front of you is this much, that's the vision I had as I was running down a path that I did not know when it would end. At a point in time, I could see the bivouac, which is a French word for camp, where we're supposed to go. And my friend who finished the race in 16 hours on day 4, which took me 22, was telling me that my fastest 5 kilometers were my last 5 kilometers. And the reason that was is because I really wanted to go to sleep. And I was so tired, and I was so fed up, and I did not know where I was going. And I would look in certain places, and I would lose track of where I'm supposed to go. When I got to the finish line on day 4, I remember sitting on the side, looking to the finish line, looking to where my tent will be, and just crying. Crying because day 4 was finished. And when I started, day 6, I had a very bad injury to my ankle. I was limping. These 2 angels from the Netherlands and Germany, or Belgium, saw me, and they offered me painkillers, paracetamol. And I was able to finish day 5 with those, and then day 6, and then come here to tell you that as of Sunday, when I came here, I can officially say that I am a legend because I finished MDS Legendary. Thank you.
Another hand for Ivan. I'm blown away. Thank you so much for coming and telling us all about it. It's just, I don't know. Did anybody participate in the around the bay this year? No, me neither. I tried to go down to use a scooter on the board on the beach boulevard, and couldn't get a signal because it was overcast, and went home. So that's my. That's as close as I got to doing anything like what Eamon did. Please join me in welcoming our next reader for the evening, Brian.
Whoa. No. That's why I wrote about it, eh? The lights are all on backwards. I'm Brian Ropesian, a.k.a. the Eloquent Clown. I sort of have a little side gig. It's called Being Retired. But this is my 4th title. It's called The Proletariat's Pension Plan. It's a collection of writings through, they date back as far as 1976 to 8. There's a poems I've written recently and other stuff, but I talk too much. The book, I planned to make it last month, but circumstances got in the way, but here I am now, and I want to start the book with page 10, which I dedicate to 2 venerable men here, Jake and his partner in crime, who is in absentia. That would be Dexter. And it's something I simply call, the lights are all on backwards. I can't see their eyes from this stage. Amplified lights, sound, then silence, save for my monotonous drone. To elevate, illuminate, perhaps even resonate, back and forth between these ancient stone rock walls, now filled with libation and liberation. A chicken and egg question for you, to relate or to simply debate. My simple thoughts, a simple bait. Through dim-lit candles of plastic shine, flesh and blood, in real time, glimpses of humanity, or at least understanding. Flicker like fireflies against darkened skies. Safe landings provide just enough kindling to keep warm this still beating heart. And that's for Jake and Dexter at CFTA in Hamilton on James Street. It's a best kept secret until the last minute, then everybody's here. But yeah, they do a great job. And to Jen Frankel, our lovely host, multi-talented actress, she does it all, fantasy, poetry, screenplay, actors. Anyways, I'm going to start with the quote that most of my titles, these are all autonomously done. I'll start with John Prine. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios. And I'll start with The Alchemist. Turning these now long days into seemingly longer nights. Turning my every thought, dream, tear and fear into moments of clarity to console my soul. Like vessels at times, though, inevitably overflow, which, in turn, turns my muses even deeper inward, so that I may turn to you for a heart, not of gold, but mere understanding. I can see that you have been crying. I can see that the mic's a mile away from me, or I'm not yelling enough. I can see that you have been crying. Whoever said the eyes are the window to the soul was exactly right. For one single tear can emote not only joy, pain, and sorrow, while laughter speaks only for itself. Thank you. The next one is choreography. You sort of see it happening, school buses and beep beep, and people's lives could be in jeopardy. I call it choreography. Early morning tango. School bus, side, step, stops. 2 first responders swirl past. Swirl past, sorry folks. Here we are. Swirl past. Do, 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 do. Colored lights piercing through the gentle rain, reflective signs, the trees and their leaves. A dire duet of screaming sirens, a crescendo of hope and prayers, a diminuendo of light, then sound, a leap of faith, all in, frantic, double time. The next poem is Run Through the Ringer, Then Hung Out to Dry. Aren't we all? Like tortoise shells and yarrow stalks, rolling dice and fingers crossed, rosary beads and nails and cross. Like pouring multicolored dry detergent dyes into an old galvanized pail, water, and a clean white shirt. Chance, change, fate, and time. The prevailing winds that weather the well-weathered weather vanes of our lives, whether or not we wish it to be, with true, though blind faith, strong, undying conviction, and pride, like that cheap tie-dye shirt you made in the garden, stained it of coffee, good company, and time. The first time you ever put it on, and every time since. Yeah, thanks. 4 push pins. 4 push pins. As I look up at my world atlas, neatly pinned against the window's breeze, a lifetime of certainty, reference, and peace, now threatened by a despotic dictator with nothing but hot air to pin his whole party to the wall and rip my world apart, even with the windows closed. Push pins et al. And that's 4 push pins. Thank you. You guys are way too kind. What's it to you? I know it's provocative. We've heard it a lot, sort of a lot of time. Alcohol and ego and superego go out to for a smoke, and then there's things happening. But what's it to you? If someone's mean to me, then what does it mean to me? Have I not gotten something I asked for? Or gotten something I may not deserve? I guess it's all in perspective. One's to receive, the other's to serve. If someone's mean to me, then what does it mean to me? Umbilical cord snip, slap on the ass, then thrust into life's rat race. Taken all in stride, hidden somewhere inside, never losing one's grace or one's pace. Or lash out in anger, this time it's on you, for something or whatever, something you believe to be true. Is someone's pain worth another's just to settle some score or bet? Simply carry on, sing or write a song. Sage words you'll soon never regret. Just trying to get by and increasingly less space, just like animals packed in a zoo. I'll carry on for miles with a smile all the while and can only wish for the same from you. If someone's mean to you, then what does it mean to you? Thank you. After garbage day, when the pieces seem to no longer fit, and you've grown tired trying to make sense of it. Truth, just a word now, being pushed to the curb. After garbage day, it's no longer a word. Everything now, it's short little spurts. If it reaches your heart, that's when it hurts. Monetize anger, greed, hate, and wealth. Sure beats the fuck out of one's mental health. Whoops, sorry. George Carlin, Lenny Bruce. I'm not sorry. Where am I now? Sorry, here, squirrel. You guys aren't paying attention, so you don't know what I last said. Primacy, recency. Here we are. Garbage. That's when it hurts. Shit, man. Chewing away at the time. After garbage day. Oh yeah, so where does this find us? Getting better, making things worse? Yeah, if we all do our part, stay in touch with the heart, we can bag all this shit at the curb. I guess I got a red light. Sorry, I just wanted one more if I could. Very, very, very. I got to get this message out. I even brought the friggin' thing. This goes with my Psychology 101 of my previous title. The 1% clause. If one's last resort is the first one they choose, then who in God's name then will ultimately lose? Pure reason applied to each hollow word. Fall silent when screamed out, just trying to be heard. Power and control with ignorance in office with absolute control. We must protect the most vulnerable, including the soul. By all means possible, we must make all things impossible. For those who have no possible means, is what they are scheming. Then why aren't we screaming instead of daydreaming? AI-generated idle memes. So where does this find us? On the edge of this cliff, paying the ultimate price now for your king of bullshit. Thank you. I'm the eloquent clown, Brian Ropesian. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Dexter. And thank you, George, behind the board. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Brian, the eloquent clown. You brought books today. Do you have books to sell, or?
Oh yeah, I have books to sell.
Yeah. So if you're
I'm just bringing them here. I do everything myself.
Yeah, so if you liked Brian's poems, you can see him afterwards. And
Thanks so much.
yeah, no problem.
I have one for you there, the proletariat.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted you to take care of business.
Okay. Yeah, I got to do that. So thank you very much. Our next reader is probably just going to be a talker, George. Yes. Please join me in welcoming the really wonderful George Tarabay.
I'm special. Hi guys. My name is George, and my therapist is on vacation till the 1st of May. So thank you guys. No, I want to talk a bit about my experience, how my life got turned upside down in the past 2 months. But I do want to clarify, in this entire story, I am never a victim, okay? I am not a victim. 2 months ago, it was Valentine's Day. I took my wife out. We had a really nice evening, and I thought, wow, like, how lucky I am. Like, I'm in a country that I love, with the person that I love, and it's so peaceful and it's so quiet. And the next morning, I wake up to calls from my sister, who lives back in Lebanon. And I tend to the call, and my biggest fear happened, which is my sister tells me, Mom passed away. Now, my mom was not sick. She was not ill, nothing wrong. She just fell. She fell from a steep height and broke her neck and died instantly. So, obviously, I was in shock. I still went to work that day. I don't have a job. I just work for myself. But I have a project that I'm working on. So I decided to, because it's all the way in Lebanon. It'll get me 3 days to get there. So I thought, might as well go do what I have to do. And it's what my wife refers to as I was being Erica Kirk. If you don't know, it's deeply political, but it's very smart, what she said. She said, I'm being Erica Kirk. I mean, like, I'm acting as if nothing happened, right? So I did that because that's how I've always been. Like, I do what I need to do regardless of how I feel. That's how I trained myself. I refuse to be let down by my emotions for the day and let it deter me from my goal. So I went to work. I didn't cry that day. Even my wife started sobbing because she loves my mom, believe it or not. Because my mom was never like the type of mother-in-law that is annoying and meddles. On the contrary, she always loved my wife, and she often told me, like, if you ever divorce her, find a new family. She really loved my wife, and that's one of the many blessings I had having parents like that. So when I was driving to work, I called my wife, like I often do on long drives, and we were video chatting, and I cried for the first time that day. It was when I was driving alone in the car. It just felt too much, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I still driving? Why am I still going? What is this? I keep going. I do what I have to do for work, and then I drive back 2 days after. And then I get to the airport and I travel to Lebanon. Now I get to Lebanon, people ask me often, how's your family? I'm like, there's no more family, it's just my sister. I lost my dad, my mom, uncles, you name it. So because my sister is younger than me, she's 6 years younger, I decided, like, hey, let me tend to her. She took the biggest, blow from this shock, which is she lives with my mom. So, I'll sit back, I'll just listen and help her grieve. And when I did that, I said, okay, I'll give it 5-6 days, whatever, and then I'll grieve. It'll be my time because of the rest of the families around us. It's a good time, like to let go and just take it off your brain. Thank you, Ayman. He just played with the microphone's levels. So I do that, And 5 days in, Israel decides to attack Lebanon. Now, I'm not being political. I don't give a fuck neither about Lebanon nor Israel. They can fight it off, kill each other. I don't care. It's not my problem anymore. But it just took me away from that moment. So I couldn't really sit and think that I just lost my mom. And I hope to God you don't feel what I'm feeling soon, but for men especially, even if you still have your dad around, when your mom passes away, it just feels like you have no roof over your head. It's just you're exposed now. You're more left, like no, there's no one to protect you. Even though your mom is old and she needs your protection, but it just feels like you have nowhere to talk and just receive that unconditional love. Because I do believe marriage is not unconditional love. Marriage, yeah, you fucking play around, you find out. Like, it has conditions. Loyalty, respect, all of that. So I lost unconditional love in my life. So the attacks are happening over Lebanon, and I'm just trying to get out. And I just want to get the fuck out. Like, at this point, I didn't care. I just want to leave. We were hearing the bombings at night. We could hear the jets above our heads. It was a nightmare. And I lived in that growing up, but to me it was always, oh, they're bombing that side. I'll just go this side, I guess. And we were used to it. But having lived in Canada for 2 years kind of sucked me out of that, and it showed me that life could be safe in general. So in my thinking process and in my fear, I get a glimmer of hope, which is the Canadian embassy starts contacting everybody who is a Canadian citizen or has a Canadian permanent residency like I do, and saying we have evacuation plans in order. So my wife was eventually able to find me a ticket, and I got out and I came back to Canada. And I got angry. I got angry not in the sense that I was placing blame or something bad happened to me, because again, I am not a victim. Like, fuck Israel, but also fuck Lebanon, the country where I was born, because like, I'm sorry to say this, and it might be controversial. An abusive relationship always hinges on two things: the abuser, who takes 100% of the blame, but on a deeper, intimate level, the person allowing the abuse to happen to them is also at fault. And Lebanon is at fault, much like Israel. So I don't give a fuck about those places. But when I came back here, I was angry because I became deeply religious recently, not because of the war. It's not like, ooh, bomb, Jesus. No, it was genuine. But it's because I've always woken up and told God, thank you for being here. Like, I feel it's a privilege to be able to be in Canada. And I said, you taught the wrong person a lesson. It's like, if I was sitting here going, fuck Canada, and I go to Lebanon and a war breaks out, fuck yeah, like, I deserve it. But I'm the guy who annoyingly speaks about his love for this country and how much I appreciate it and how much I see the positive in it. And people laugh sometimes because they tell me, you're new here. And I'm like, no, you guys don't get it. Like, I've been in love with this country since I was 15 years old. And I've always dreamt of being Canadian. And it's not because Canadian means anything. It's just because when you say Canadian, you automatically think of someone who's nice, somebody who's helpful, except Ayman's experience at the marathon. Let's call these the Green Party, probably. I don't know. But no, like, you know what I mean? Like, when you can never go anywhere in the world and say I'm Canadian and receive hate or people have a problem with you. Unlike our neighbors to the south, right? Like, if they say we're American, I'll be like, hey, get fucked. Like, you're gonna die. So Canadian means a lot to me. And in my grief and in my anger about all of this, I came up with an idea, and I want to run it by you. But I needed you guys to understand where it's coming from. You only can live a life like mine to fully appreciate how great this country is. It's not just the safety. It's not just the liberty. It's not just the fact that there's a true sense of community. Like, for fuck's sake, there's 40 people here listening to a guy sob. Like, that's community. Like, that's strength. That's power. Where I come from, you don't do this shit. Where I come from, you go to work, you go club till you're passed out, and then that's your life. Because if you sit and talk about your emotions, people are gonna be like, dude, like, what? Your problem is my problem as well. So there's no real way for you to breathe it out. But having lived here for 2 years, having seen the good and the bad, the terrible, everything you guys can complain about. I know you could be like, oh, but did you see what this guy, I'm like, sure. But believe me, at a deeper level, there's still a lot of value in just saying, I'm Canadian. And for that reason, out of my anger over my roots, over my deep loss, because I missed a lot of time not spent with my mom because I wanted to better my life. I wanted to get out. So I first immigrated to the Middle East, to Kuwait, where I lived for 12 years. And then I decided to move here to finally achieve my vision for myself, which is to be in a room with like-minded people, a place where I can feel I'm a part of something bigger than I am. And I made that decision consciously, knowing that my mom might die one day, and me regretting not having spent enough time with her. But having gone to Lebanon for the funeral and came back here, believe me, I am so happy I took that decision. I have no fucking regrets, because for those 3 weeks in Lebanon, I was reminded that as much as I miss my mom, there's something deeply unsettling about being from that region. There's something deeply unsettling that shakes you to your core, makes you go into survival mode instantly, the moment you land. And I don't want that for myself. Because having lived here for 2 years, I saw real peace. I saw fucking great people coming together to help a guy. Like, people coming together to help somebody put on a play. Like, I can give you 1,000 examples, guys. But being Canadian is so much more than the problems you are facing right now. And for that reason, I want to create an account on TikTok, and I'm not trying to get you to subscribe to anything, but I want to create an account where I could show Canadians who were born here, who probably forgot what it's like to be Canadian, why it's still great to be Canadian. Because even though I lost my mom because I spent most of my time here, I'm still grateful, and I'm lucky that I got to make that choice. Because even though I'm still messed up about my mom passing, there's this peace that accompanies it by knowing that at least I'm safe. The community is taking care of me. And if this is not enough to say I'm a proud Canadian, then fuck it. Let Trump take it then. I don't know. I don't mean it that way. Fuck Trump. Thank you, guys.
Give it up again for George. For anyone who's just come in, if you need to sign up, the sign-up sheet is just over right on the counter there. You're still welcome to. I don't want to stop anyone from being able to speak tonight. Please join me in welcoming our next reader for the evening, Steve Bernardi.
Hi everyone, how are we doing tonight? George, I'll say this much: you're a hard act to follow. I'm going to open tonight by sharing a quick fun fact I learned recently. April 30th is significant for two reasons. First off, it is the furthest date on the calendar from Halloween, which I thought that was interesting. I've also learned that it is a saint's holiday called, I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation, Walpurgisnacht or Walpurgis Night, and it holds different spiritual significance for different cultures, but a lot of cultures do treat it as second Halloween, which I thought is really cool. I Googled Halloween in April, and I got a whole list of topics about it. So I found that really interesting. And that's all a very long-winded way to say, even though we just had Easter a week and a half ago, I'm going to be reading a Halloween story in April. So you'll just have to deal with it. So this is from my Halloween collection. It's called Whisper Falls, the Town That Dreaded Halloween. The short story is What Happened to Ray Brady. Ray Brady is an infamous boy in the town of Whisper Falls who disappeared one Halloween night. And the story is meant to illuminate what happened to him. Now, Ray Brady is 11 years old, and for several weeks, he is visited in his dreams by what he considers an imaginary friend named Mr. Fox. He never sees Mr. Fox, but they tell stories and play games together. It's a good time, but Ray learns much, much too late that Mr. Fox is not an imaginary friend, but a very real enemy. Mr. Fox is a human being. He's a man, lives in the same town as Ray. He is dying in a bed at home very slowly. He's hooked up to machines. He's not well, but while he's isolated at home, he's learned to reach out in his mind with to others, and Ray is the first one who picked up the phone, essentially. And Mr. Fox tricked Ray into switching bodies. So Mr. Fox gets to abscond as a little boy and live his life while Ray is trapped at someone else's home, dying in bed. It's not fair. It's cruel. It's awful. It's evil. And where we pick up in the story that I'm going to read from Mr. Fox as Ray is wants to tie up some loose ends using Halloween night trick-or-treating to kind of as an excuse to go to someone else's house. He's going to sneak in and he's going to try to finish the job, make sure there's no chance of anyone figuring out what he's done. So we're going to follow here. He entered the room with no fanfare. It was especially dark, blackout curtains keeping out what little illumination the streetlights outside projected. There was some light within the room, though. Tall machines stood on either side of a small bed, blinking dozens of little lights and making the occasional beep. And in the bed was a shriveled, corpse-like man who was staring at the new visitor. Ma, moaned the corpse. It spoke as if it hadn't had a glass of water in months. Can hardly speak under your own power. Pathetic. Mr. Fox, said the man in bed with great difficulty. Is that you? Why do you look like me? I don't want to play this game anymore. You seem to be operating under two delusions, friend. For starters, I'm not Mr. Fox. I'm Ray Brady, said the thing that was not Ray Brady. You are Gordon Fox, veteran, who only ever enlisted because your own father said you were a worthless worm who couldn't make something of yourself otherwise. Gordon Fox, who was so angry at the world after the war ended, you jumped at the first chance to turn that anger outward when the mob was looking for recruits. Gordon Fox, he said, pushing his face incredibly close to the man's, feeling the old body's stale breath even as he went on with his diatribe, who wouldn't sell out his fellow mobsters to the police, but whose fellow mobsters didn't show him the same courtesy. You're Gordon Fox, the man who wasted a majority of his life in prison and who only got older and sicker and more pathetic after you got out. The second delusion you're suffering from is that we're playing a game, because the game is over already. You lost. No point in being a sore loser about it now. I want to go home, whined the true Ray Brady, but the thief who had stolen his body wasn't finished speaking. You're not special, you know. The body of Ray Brady pulled back, grabbing a pack of cigarettes and a Zippo lighter off an end table. He lit a cigarette, regarded it for a minute, and then stomped it out, deciding it was best not to spoil his new vessel already. I'd been bedridden for so long, spent so much time calling out with my warped and twisted mind. You were just the first rube to pick up the phone. Well, congratulations, Ray. You got everything you wanted. You're a grown-up now. Mr. Fox, everything hurts. I told you my name is Ray Brady! To send his point home, he actually struck the old man square in the face. Ray Brady's body may have lacked strength, but the body of Gordon Fox lacked constitution, and so got a bloody nose even from the feeble punch. Ray Brady whimpered in pain. He would have started crying too, if Gordon Fox's tear ducts weren't so ancient and impotent. If I can say one comforting thing to you, though, continued the usurper, it would be that you won't be in pain for much longer. He placed a hand on the plug which fed into the two life support machines that flanked the bed. Goodbye, Gordon Fox. And then he pulled the plug. The devices made one angry, drawn-out beep before turning off completely. Their lights would never inadequately illuminate this room ever again. Things were silent after that, but the sound of Ray's worsening breath gradually began to intensify. "Why are you doing this?" he asked Mr. Fox, someone he had at one point considered a close friend and confidant. "I was wondering that myself." The body of Ray Brady spun around sharply, now on alert with the presence of a third voice in the room. The body of Gordon Fox couldn't move nearly as fast, but was equally alarmed. "Who are you?" demanded the soul of Gordon Fox. "You aren't one of the brats I came here with." "You know me," said the little boy. His face was pale, with faded cyan eyes held aloft by dark bags. He wore a charcoal gray fall jacket and matching newsboy hat. In his hand was a blue balloon on a string. "Ah, you're right. I do recognize you. I've caught glimpses of you before, several just this past year. Look alive, worm," he called back to the man in the bed. "Ha! You're in the presence of Thanatos, also known as Joe Black, the Grim Reaper, Death himself, and I think he's here for you." "Why are you doing this, Gordon?" asked Death. "Why?" he repeated. "Why else? I'm not ready to die. My life was a colossal waste, but I'm wiser now. I was dealt a bad hand, so I deserve a second chance. I earned it, me. I claim this body as my prize. Its previous occupant was undeserving, and in it I will achieve wonders." "Is that all?" "Yes, that's all. And before you ask, yes, I'm proud of myself too." "Give the body back, Gordon." "Excuse me?" "I said give the body back." "You must be joking." "Everything has its time, and everything dies. Even I'll die someday when the universe no longer needs me. If you're as wise as you claim to be, you'd recognize that. So I'm asking you, give the body back. Don't rob this boy of his go-around because you're unhappy with the choices you made during yours." "There!" shouted Gordon Fox. "You can stand there and judge me all you like, but I don't have to listen to you anymore. Do you know why? Because when this body eventually wizens and falls to ruin, I'll do the same trick again. I've outgrown you, Reaper. The insight of age and the endless advantages of youth, savored across hundreds of lifetimes. I'm practically a god now, and I will do as I like." Death narrowed his eyes. "I'd be mindful of what night it is when calling yourself a god, Gordon Fox. I have never been quick to anger, but there are other deities out tonight who are more easily offended than I." "Chatter away all you like," scoffed the body of Ray Brady. "I have places to be. It's Halloween and I'm a small boy. There's candy to eat, houses to cover in toilet paper, merriment and mayhem to be had. This is a house of the dead, and I'm bound for the living." Gordon Fox ran out of the room without looking back once. He made his way down the stairs and escaped through the back door. Death watched him go, disappointed but not surprised, before turning back to Ray Brady. "You're not really a kid like me, are you?" Ray asked. "I'm not." "That makes sense. You sort of feel like a grown-up." "You're very astute, Raymond Brady." "Everything hurts, mister." "Let me help you with that." The little boy began to approach, and suddenly Ray began to feel great fear. "Stop! Don't come any closer. I want my mom and dad." "They're not here, Raymond. I'm sorry, but I'll do what I can for you." When Ray made no further protests, Death placed a hand on his shoulder. True to his word, it did help, and the body Ray was trapped in no longer hurt. The pain was replaced with a kind of empty feeling, one which made Ray sad, but was still preferable to the sensation of his organs shutting down one by one. "That's a little better." "What happens next is going to be a little scary," said Death. "But I promise you that it isn't all bad. Look at my balloon, Raymond." Death lowered the balloon so it floated just a few inches away from Ray's head, and he did as he was told. Despite the absence of any significant light sources in the room, the orb still possessed a reflective sheen, and in it Ray saw 3 dead grandparents, his family dog Molly, who had tragically passed away 2 years ago, and half a dozen goldfish, none of whom had lived past 6 months, but Ray had all loved equally dearly. "You won't be alone when you go," Death promised, "and it won't ever hurt, not ever again. Now I want you to take a deep breath and hold onto this balloon for me. Ray reached for the string, but hesitated at the last second. What's wrong, Raymond? It's just, I can't stop thinking about Mr. Fox. It isn't fair. He cheated. And now he's probably going to hurt a lot of other people. I wouldn't worry about that, Death said warmly. I'm not the only god of Halloween working tonight. It's true, Gordon Fox was a cheater, and the sad reality of life is that sometimes cheaters win, but they also never prosper. Ray nodded, understanding in his heart, if not in his mind, and took the balloon. And that's not quite the end of the story. If you want to know how it ends, you're going to have to buy the book. On that note, I do have a couple copies of my book for sale if anyone is interested. It's called Whisper Falls, The Town That Dreaded Halloween, 7 original short stories. I also have a copy of my other book, which Jen was so nice to help me publish 2 years ago, How to Succeed in Skeleton Business. It's a fantasy story, very D&D inspired, if that's your thing. And it's available online, Indigo, Chapters, Amazon, whatever, wherever you guys get books. So I'd love it if you checked it out. Thanks so much, everyone.
He knows how to leave a really bad cliffhanger. Thank you so much. Another hand for Steve. If you need a drink or anything at any point, please feel free to get up and go to the bar. We don't mind. It's always nice to support the location as well. I need something to drink. I'm going to come over after this. But first, I want to just introduce the next reader for the evening, or the next performer. Please join me in welcoming Harrison. And how's that for height? Oh, in that case, that's terrible for height.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, actually, it's not bad.
That's pretty good. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. How's it going? Good. Thanks so much for hosting this event. This has been really wild. Credits and kudos to all the speakers, the readers tonight, the writers. Lots of really good stuff. I'm going to totally turn things around here, and now for something completely different. I'm going to read you a little bit of passage from my children's book called Silent Boy. I just published it about 2 weeks ago or so, and thank you so much. Thanks. So if you want to take a moment, go get yourself a nice warm glass of milk from the bar. This, I don't know. Are there cookies? Are there cookies? Sorry, I'm kind of. What's that?
The dad's cookies for the milk.
Yeah, that would be good.
You got the book here.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
As long as they don't serve mom's spaghetti.
I don't know what that means, but you made me laugh, so that's good. Oh, okay.
They have M&Ms up there?
Okay, so this is Silent Boy. Not that long ago, a young boy was in a hospital. No one seemed to know what bothered him, as he looked fine. He was quite sick, however, and after some time he stopped speaking altogether. He became known as the Silent Boy. His mother was frantic. She thought her son had every illness under the sun. He has bipolar. He's in a coma. His parents would not stop at finding a cure. They made an announcement. Anyone who could come and make the Silent Boy speak would win a great reward. So many people came to try to make the Silent Boy speak. Psychologists, psychiatrists, physiotherapists, nutritionists, psychics, all came. All of them tried, and all of them failed. Elsewhere in the city, there lived a little girl and her Aunt Hipsy in a tiny apartment. The apartment was jam-packed with oddities from floor to ceiling. One day, while packing surprise packages together, the little girl said, "I think I'd like to try and make the Silent Boy speak." Her aunt looked concerned. "This is no easy job. You do remember how long it took me to help you." "I know, but maybe you could help me try." So that night, Aunt Hipsy lit a candle in the kitchen, and together they sat throughout the wee hours while she told the little girl everything she knew. She spoke of writing and music, traveling and exploring, comedy, tragedy, herbs, recipes, chemistry, and magic. And by morning, The candle was completely burnt down. The little girl had learned everything she could. She packed herself a surprise box, said goodbye to her aunt, and called for a taxi to take her to the hospital. The father led the little girl into his son's hospital room and firmly stated the rules. You are to spend one night in this room with a nurse as a witness. And so the little girl sat at the foot of the silent boy's bed. The silent boy looked desperate and alone. Instead of speaking directly to the boy, however, the little girl turned to the nurse and asked, "Nurse, do you know a story to help me through the night, to comfort me from the unknown?" "I don't know any stories," she said. "Well, then you won't mind if I tell you a story?" the girl asked. The nurse shook her head, and the little girl told the following story. Once upon a time, there was a strange man living at the top floor of an old apartment building. The man only ate cereal. He ate and ate and ate until one day he ran out of cereal boxes, except for that one that was shoved way back in his kitchen cupboard, covered in dust. It read granola on the front. "Looks healthy," the man grunted to himself. He ripped open the box anyway, poured all of it out into his bowl, drowned it with milk, and started to munch. The cereal box teetered upon his kitchen table next to his open window while he ate and ate and ate. With a nudge from his elbow, the box toppled over and a surprise plastic green toy rolled out of the box, through the window, into the garden far down below. It was a 6-inch tall, squishy toy with arms and legs and 2 large googly eyes perched on top of his head. It landed with a little thump onto the patch of rotten tomatoes and came alive. It stood up and looked around. Just then, a stink bug appeared. The stink bug wore robes and carried a staff. "This is a sign," the stink bug exclaimed. "Come with me." They walked through the garden, through the dead rose bushes and rotten blueberry patch, up the twisted holly tree and around the limp green beans. They met many other bugs along the way who joined them, weevils and spiders, ladybugs and caterpillars, ants, and even slugs. The stink bug gathered his friends around the toy and declared, "Behold, a god has fallen from the sky. He is here to save us from our sickly drought." The bugs cheered and danced, and the toy had no idea what was going on, so he cheered and danced as well. Suddenly a shadow was cast upon the celebration. The dreaded dragonfly rose from his cave. The dreaded dragonfly rose from his cave and flew above the bugs. The dragonfly felt threatened by the toy as he was master of the garden and didn't like to be upstaged. The toy trembled in fear. The little girl stopped her story then and turned to the nurse. What should the toy do? Should he fight or flee? The nurse shrugged her shoulders. "Well, I don't know." Then the silent boy spoke very quietly. "I have an idea." "I'm glad to hear you say that," said the girl. "What's your idea?" The silent boy leaned forward. "The toy shouldn't fight or flee. It should freeze." "Wise answer," said the little girl. "You know that we have 3 choices when we face fear. Maybe it's okay to stop and do nothing." "How does the story end?" asked the silent boy. The little girl smiled and said, there's the dragonfly and the... Just as the dragonfly was about to attack, rain began to fall. And as the water touched the squishy skin of the toy, it began to grow and grow and grow. It was a toy that grew with water. Soon the toy stood 3 times as tall, towering over the dragonfly, forcing the bully to fly away scared. The stink bug was convinced the toy was a gift from the heavens, and the bugs cared for the gardens once again. Might be a natural place to stop, actually. Yeah. Thanks so much for your attention, everybody.
Did you illustrate it as well?
I did, yeah.
Oh, wow. That was great.
Thanks.
Another round of applause for Harold. It's really cool. Multi-talented. That was really fun. Please join me in welcoming our next reader for the evening, Lil. Oh, hi. Would you like to stand or sit?
I'll stand. Although the lights are bright.
The lights are very
The lights are bright.
You're on backwards.
Is this on? Okay, yeah, the lights are. Okay, but I'm going to be very short. I have one poem to read. This is a love poem. It's called, "This Poem Wants to Stick with You Long After You Finish Reading." I want to be the poem that sticks with you long after you first hear it. A line from the poem suddenly comes to you as you're walking in the woods. You love that line. I want to be the dream that stays with you long after you wake up. Not the whole dream with its mazes and tunnels, but the part where you lose your shoe or your wallet or your identity and then find it again. I want to be the soup that you tasted in France after driving up the winding roads from the sea. The soup had simmered for years with fresh ingredients added every day, the flavor growing deeper and deeper, the memory of the taste still with you. I want to be the fortune that you find in a cookie, the fortune you needed to hear, the fortune that turned you around and changed your life. Thank you.
Keep it going for Lil. Thank you. I had a soup pot once that we ran all winter. I love doing that. I had a soup pot that we did all. I was living up. I was living up in Petawawa, and then every now and then you find like the beans that you put in 3 weeks ago, and you find and everything's okay because you're always continually boiling it. And oh man, is that what it's called?
No,
but it could be. Please join me in welcoming our next reader. We've got a lot of readers from out of town tonight, which is making me really excited. Please join me in welcoming Dean Italiano.
I know I'm going to step back on that and trip on it. Hi, wow, you really can't see anybody out there from up here. So I'm Dean Italiano, we're from Waterloo, but I grew up here. I was born and grew up here in Hamilton. Okay, I'm a writer of a few books, a bunch of short stories, and I'm getting back into poetry. So for the last year, I've been going to open mic nights, and some of us, you know your limit, stay within it, right? So. Before I get started, I would like to thank the jury, and I would like to thank my guardian angel, and I would like to thank death. And this is called My Suspended Dance. Death is completely androgynous, exquisitely gorgeous. I have flirted with them for decades. Tall and slim, tan pants and a white cotton shirt, we would dance like lovers. Graceful and strong, excruciatingly inviting. When I moved my toes to the edge of a cliff, they heard me whisper, "Will anyone miss me?" Death showed their monster side, the black hood, the skeletal hand. I understood to scare me away, to be less tempting and frightening. Not
there
yet.
it is. Okay, sorry. Is this your final dance?
Not yet. The nights I cried, held in strong arms against the soft white shirt, their infinity of suffering enveloped mine, safely stored behind that empathetic, angelic face. Still, I flirted with death. In our old canoe, I combed my fingers through their hair. We traveled the black rivers. They would reject my kiss, and I would act as if I didn't care. Numb, comfortable, dragging my palm in the water, I tried to bed them, to take a most intimate piece of them, a part of me forever. But I awoke in a hospital bed, gasping for air. Death sat on my chest and told me to listen.
There shall be no love affair, and you may never take a piece of me again.
Their beautiful mosaicked eyes were stern, watching my thoughts as I tried to breathe. But I need you. They leaned forward, nose almost touching mine, eyes now red, teeth bared. They bellowed into my face.
Leave me!
But I didn't know how. Amidst my depths of darkness, my spiders swarmed. My mistakes, my faults, my deepest shames, they crawled, each one a memory that would not die, each with a web. Proof that I was a terrible person, and even when I begged, tried to find a speck of my virtue, the spiders created a unified jury that cried out, "Guilty!" It was true. Death told me, although I was not dead, I was not alive. They would push me to find peace, help me live without them always by my side, but for some reason I was important. I needed to cross the fires of excruciating pain. Did I trust them to guide me? Yes, with my life. My eyes were opened. I saw the fires and cried, "I am no longer numb. This hurts," I told them.
No, this is going to hurt.
I showed death what I held in my left hand. Years of anger, fury, even a raging hatred that terrified me. My fingers decayed, gnarled, thick and black, gripped in a fist so tight it could no longer open. I displayed it like a monster threatening to eat my arm.
Cut it off!
So I did, swift and ruthless. In shock, I searched for my guardian angel. Desperate for help, I needed to be pulled out of this trial by sword.
You wore me out years ago. I cannot help you now.
Oh, death, why do you do this to me? How dare you lift this veil? I showed them what I had in my stronger hand. Pain, torturous sorrow, anguish, unbearable grief. The pieces of my heart that broke over and over. My right hand brittle, weak, pink, turning white. I displayed it like bleached coral, once a strong protector, now deeply damaged.
Cut it off.
So I did. I am broken. My brokenness is ugly, exposed, sensitive, unprotected, needing care, needing softness. I became painfully aware of my body, but death taught me to cherish my scars. One last time, as I stood on the edge of our cliff, I did not call out, but death came to me. We danced above the still water, reflecting oranges and reds. As much as I longed for this dance, it brought only melancholy and the deepest sadness I had ever known. While holding me a little tighter, they said,
You're too important, and I cannot tell you why. So dance with me forever, or leave me and be truly alive.
I have taken years to heal. A new person emerged. Slowly, a spark filled the space in my soul usually reserved for my beloved death. I saw myself for the first time, and I felt joy. I no longer flirt with beautiful, exquisite death. I didn't make a deal with the devil, but death made a deal with me. They are gone now, for now, my exquisite monster who patiently waits.
Another hand for Dean. It's my first time being a guardian angel. It was really fun. And thank you to Jennifer Venner for reading Death, and some friends, the jury. Thank you, Spiders. Please join me in welcoming our next reader for the evening, Richard.
I did write 2 poetry books. This one's called Insights for You That Fell Out of My Head, and the marketing genius that I am, I'm not going to read from that. To the next one. Okay, this one is called Forget Me Not. Like a stroke of bad luck, but a stroke just the same. She knew I was important, but suddenly she lost my name. I was her sprout, she guided me with her hands, our roots, they grew deep. But this wasn't the plan. So when I got the call, I flew to her side, her eyes filled with despair, what brain cells were fried. The nurses kept asking, when did it start? When did she lose control? When did her memories depart? And recalling that time is what the doctors needed to pick the right drugs, to pick the right treatment. And what they did next, what actions they took would determine her fate and how her future would look. You see, her lifetime was scattered, memories tossed in the air, like a violent tornado blew them everywhere. Unfortunately, the damage was done. She couldn't recall. Some stories would lost, some petals would fall. Now many would wallow and mourn what they lost, focus on the weeds, focus on the cost. But not all warriors use weapons. Not all heroes wear capes. Some get to work and bloom despite the wait. Because during her trauma, throughout all this pain, she saw her new normal and not just the rain. She looked at the dirt. She looked at the sun. She watered her roots because she was not done. She invested the time. She invested the tears to rebuild her puzzle and reclaim her years. She used family photos with their names on the back, like old school flashcards to coax her memory back. She's now the queen of lists, so she doesn't forget, to avoid missing out and to dodge future regrets. And now, with decades now past, her short term's still foggy, a souvenir of a night when her thoughts were so groggy. But her roots are replanted and her blossom reclaimed, and I'm pleased to report my hero, my mom, now remembers my name. Thank you. I was one of her, I was to answer, she felt guilty after that experience, so, about not remembering me. So I just had to show her that she was the hero, so. Thank you. This last time I was here, I think it was in November, I read a poem that I wrote for my daughter, and I also have a son. He's 25 now, but he's the warrior in our family, and so this poem kind of speaks to that, and it's called "Not Today." Playing hockey in the driveway, shooting hoops just for fun, or throwing a ball around with my ambitious young son. Whenever we'd compete, I'd encourage him this way. I'd say, one day you'll beat me, but just not today. And my wife would suggest, let the little guy win. But I simply refused, considering a sin. But he's just a kid and you're a grown man. But what she didn't realize, this was part of my plan. In life, there's challenge and surely resistance, and I was building his strength and developing persistence. And letting him score would not be doing him a favor, because success that comes too easy is lacking in flavor. So, some may not agree, but the lessons within that the sweetest victories are where the effort is put in. And this didn't deter him. Nah, he only tried harder. He practiced new ways and he kept getting smarter, because adversity and effort are not a stranger to him. They help him compete and they help him to win. Well, he's all grown up now. much taller than before, and so much stronger than he was when he was 4. And at last, that day has come, and my dominance is done. And it's been quite a while since I have won. And as victory eludes me, I have a grin on my face as I take my lumps with considerable grace. But the lesson he learned, the lesson that stuck, means success to him is more than just luck. In hindsight, I know that the gift that I've given, the tenacity he developed, is how he is driven. And when life blesses him with his own little one and they're out playing, having fun in the sun, I will smile when they battle, and I hear him convey, one day you'll beat me, but just not today.
I think I hope you'll come back sooner next time. Yeah, thank you. Please join me in welcoming our next reader for the evening, Adam. There he is. So it was fun guessing if I didn't get the height.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think I told you last time my height changes all the time, right? I had to buy a new couch recently, and I went in the furniture store, and they had like a massage chair, and I sat down in it, and it ran down my back, and it cracked my back like 7 times, and then I swear I was like 1.5 inches taller after. Because, yeah, I was born with like a spine disorder, so my spine is not shaped normally. Like my vertebrae didn't grow properly. Fun little fact. I think I said this last time I was here. If another fun fact, my name's Adam, and I'm actually named after the band Depeche Mode. Because my parents didn't know what to name me, and the band had like a pamphlet in one of the CDs, and their names were Alan, David, Andrew, and Martin. Because I read a lot of poetry, because I like I like lyrics. The band The Offspring, and they have a lot of lyrics from their music that I really like. This one's called The Mind's Eye. Inner thoughts are such a funny thing. Nobody else can hear the words ring. What goes on inside of your mind truly is something that no one else can find. Only you know what goes on in there, so don't lie too much or else it's not fair. It's always important to be prudent and just, but if deception protects you, then you must. As long as any harm caused did not have intention, then it should not be used as a point of contention. The mind's eye truly sees things as they are, but following it blindly won't get you too far. The world around you is what matters most. Don't let parasitic thoughts use you as their host. Remember, your thoughts may feel real to you. Don't let them take over or control you. Pay attention to the world outside of your head, or if you aren't careful, you might wind up dead. It's important to listen to your inner voice, keeping in mind that we all have a choice. Knowledge is power, or so as they say. Our behaviors and actions guide the way. The way to showing to others what really matters and not holding back so your life never shatters. Understanding the way you think and showing you care is the best way to ensure that one day you'll get there. To the real sense of peace and unfettered calm, even when you might feel like a ticking time bomb. In time we can all reach the best point of view. Life can be scary, that much is true. But if we press forward and push through the pain, one day we'll see the end of the rain. Wherever your mind's eye is fearful of today, just try to remember it will go away. When the storm has passed, you may look back and wonder why you were so scared to do the right things and convinced you would die. Now finally everything is good and life is better. You can close your mind's eye, unwind, relax in your favorite cozy sweater. Thank you. I can still read a few more. I got a few minutes, yeah. I'm gonna read. I'm sort of trying to write a story or like an autobiography. I don't know what you want to call it. I just write things down. You know, that I've heard that there's like a fine line between genius and insanity, and I like to think that I walked that line. So, but I talked about like philosophy last time, or you talked about philosophy a little bit, and like I talked about like different philosophies like nihilism and solipsism, which is the idea that like nobody really knows, like you can't really prove anything, or like nothing really exists. How can you be objective? And then I talked about, because I've actually been coming to this a few times, so I'm picking up where I left off, because the last time I left off I said I wanted to talk about like basically what I think the world and what I think existence is. So this is just my thought, and like I'm just probably like I said, I'm just a rambling crazy person, but who cares? Exactly, but what I think is that in my life, I think existence is basically something that's always been and always will be, and that it doesn't have a creation because it had no start or no end, and there's just 4 layers to it. So there's 4 dimensions of reality. The first dimension is where energy is, where you have like electricity, which is like negative and positive, and those are like ions, and they can bind together to make particles, and those have like an X and a Y axis, which would be like the second layer, and then those are flying around everywhere, and sometimes they collide and pop and make a big bang, and that's a bubble, and that's the third dimension, and that's where we are right now, and that's the XYZ axis. And then I think the fourth dimension is like, the fourth axis is actually time, and that's where our thoughts come from, and that this body is just tuned to the frequency of our thought. And I think when we sleep, our thoughts just roam freely, and we can travel through time in the same way that we can like travel through space. And then I think when this life ends, then a new life starts somewhere in a different bubble somewhere, and we just move on. And life, that's what life is from beginning to end. And I kind of think of it like it's like a big pot of boiling water. New bubbles just start from the bottom, and they just keep coming up, and they just, yeah, that's just my take on life.
I think the fourth is like, so with regarding time though, what do you believe time is with the?
It's just like the fourth axis, like if we're in the, it's like spirit realm, right? So you could just move through to, like, you know how you can move around?
Yeah.
Time is just another way to move, you know?
I was thinking it's like sending, like it's like sending emails, sending
Yeah.
or watching
Something.
videos and things.
Yeah, something like that, you know? But that's where our thoughts actually come from. Our brain is just picking up the frequency of our thoughts, you know? Okay, well, here's another one I wrote. This one I've been working on for a little bit, because I actually changed like my writing process, because I used to just kind of like have like little random things that would come to my mind and I'd write them down, but I actually try to like go with a theme. So I called this one The Smell of Bacon. Why do some people always call a cop a pig? Is it because they abuse their power to make themselves feel tough and big? The funny thing is, there was a police officer who said he hated the smell of bacon, but later we found out his whole life was a lie and he was just faking. He thought he was a sophisticated punk, but the truth is he really just stunk. He would watch all the bodies that the morgue would collect from the loss of innocent lives for which he swore to serve and protect. He was a rich old man who could get anything he wanted, but all his money and jewelry he just flaunted. He had so many things shiny and new, but he didn't even know how to tie his own shoe. If you looked into his eyes and saw behind his affluent disguise, you would see the man who he had become. The system corrupted him and he did succumb. It's funny and true that he really stunk, and he hated the smell of bacon. Who would have thunk? Time for one more. Okay, so this one I called this one The Pain of Words. No one can ever take back the words they have spoken, especially if their impact has left things broken. Deep down inside, there's so much emotion that one conversation caused so much commotion. The pain of words can cut you oh so deep that old wounds forgotten start to seep. Even though it hurts, it might be a good feeling, because reopened wounds have a chance to start healing. You might always hold on to that fateful event that coursed your life and changed how things went. No matter what happens, never stop trying to fix, because one day you might find a solution that sticks. The pain of words really are so real, and it shows the impact of how you feel. I can't believe you would say such things. Can't believe they would say such things. The words that released really do sting. If it feels like you're sliding down the steepest slope and you can't even grab hold of the rope, everything that was said repeats in your brain, and the rumination is driving you insane. When your cup is filled right to the top, and you'll do anything to make it stop. If your mind overflows with a river of hurt, don't stop and pause or try to be curt. If what's been said leaves you utterly disgusted, and go with your gut when you don't feel they can be trusted. Your sanity is something you can no longer neglect. Focusing on yourself is what you need to protect. Maybe take time in one day and try again one day, but for right now, that's all there is to say. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to switch up just 2 of the readers so that we can get our Toronto writers back home at a reasonable hour before they turn into pumpkins. Please join me in welcoming Vasily.
Thank you, Jen. I'm really honored to be here. Fun fact, I started reading poetry at Jen's open mic in Toronto about 3 years ago, and I'm really excited to be here. So it's like my first time doing something in Hamilton and not just like passing through Hamilton, so I'm really happy to see this crowd. So I'm going to read maybe two poems. The first one is kind of inspired by, and Jennifer here in the audience knows a thing or two about Orthodox Church, and it's inspired by the Orthodox Easter, which was last weekend. It's as a very good friend of mine said, you just took every fear and every negative emotion you had and just expressed them in beautiful stanzas. So that's probably what it is. Yeah, I wrote it like about 2 weeks ago. Like I was in between jobs and I was, yeah. So anyway, this is the time of silence, the quiet I can't fully accept, the lull before the angel sounds the trumpet, the stillness of 4 a.m. broken by the bells on the Easter night in the land where the shadows lie. What if nothing comes in 7 days? What if the sea doesn't part, and the promise of the promised land is laid bare, and the dead man in the cave doesn't rise on the third day? I watch the air masses with diligence for the signs of the second and glorious coming. All I see is that the cold comes from the northwest, and the moisture comes from the southeast. There is rhyme, but there is no reason in anything under the sun. These are futile tasks for those who've inherited unearned wings, who fly high to return to their vomit. When the spring knocks on our doors, we repeat our folly. Chained between the high of hope and the hangover that always follows, I still hope for the better days. I still pray to the bright eyes of those you've given to me, but even they will fade as I watch helplessly. Thank you. Fun fact, Adam mentioned The Offspring, and when I was 10, I was first time encountered death, and my great-grandpa passed. I was living in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment with seven family members because it was Eastern Europe, and I remember listening to The Offspring as a kid, and this music like held me up through grief, and they're incredible. The lyrics are incredible. Still my favorite band. Also, someone here read a poem about their kid, and I have 2 kids, and that's the reason I need to drive back. I want to read a poem I wrote last Thanksgiving weekend about my kids, 2 daughters, and it's basically we went on a hike somewhere around here, so it's about that hike, and then we got caught in the rain. Storm clouds gather around us. We are the center of the vortex, the eye of the storm, on the dead shores of the obliterated river. We pretend to trust the histories conjured up by feeble and inquisitive minds just like ours. 1,000 years ago, a wise man in the city of Antioch said, "Some think the earth is round. I believe it's melon-shaped." I think his hands were cut off, and he was proclaimed a heretic, an enemy of the state, all of this or none. If I may, I beg you, don't make your speech public. Don't fight the tide. Keep a low profile. Let them get what they want. They deserve what they want. My old car sound system proclaims in a gentle female voice. It's a Taylor Swift lyric reference. I want you to discover the world anew. I want you to override the stories and reassess every hypothesis, even though they said it's true. Law, science, faith, divine revelation. Don't be spoon-fed fad diets because someone said they're good for you. What are you thankful for? I'm thankful that we're still together. Those whom you gave me I have kept, and none of them is lost. We'll gather around the table and we'll call the shots. You'll tell me where the table should be and who'll gather around it, or if it's only us, or if a table is left bare in the abandoned homes and lands, in places covered in dust and mold, and the bed I bought to keep you warm keeps rotting, and the language I relied on to utter my first words of love for you is fading from my neurons. In the golden light of October, none of this matters. Love is far and love is near, and love reunites and love absolves. My sin is ever before me, and yet your love revives the land so that it can accept seeds and bear fruit again. Behold the servant of the Lord. May it be done to me according to thy word. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Another hand for Vasily. And we're saying good night to our Toronto friends. Good night. Please join me in welcoming our next reader, and thank you so much for letting yourself be bounced. I didn't really give you a choice. Please join me in welcoming Wown.
Boredom. I have.
Oh, shit, I don't know who's next. Is it Sidra? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, Yoel, that was really interesting, though. I read a great essay just a couple of weeks ago about AI and the true danger in allowing something to do the work for you that actually builds your mind. So that, two research assistants could be working on the same project. One of them gets AI to do everything for them. The other one does it themselves. They both have exactly the same outcome, but only one of them has built the skills necessary to be able to actually do that problem by themselves, and actually only the person who's built that muscle is able to actually go on and create problems for themselves too. So you can't actually create anything of great complexity unless you actually have that work that's done. So it's really fascinating. I'm looking forward to hearing more of your philosophy. Please join me in welcoming Sidra.
Hi, I just have a short poem, and it's called My Best Friend. You are my best friend, smiles sending love, hugs as sweet as honey, whispers sharing secrets, laughter lighting up rooms. I miss the way it was. Diverged paths, time has long gone, growing in different gardens, budding in our own uniqueness, not realizing when our leaves untwined. Change challenging our views, lifestyles distancing what remained. We were not there to witness the way life left us, a now fragile friendship. Now we sit in silence, no thoughts to be talked, secrets unspoken, hugs half empty, a void of what once was. You were my best friend. Thank you.
That was very bittersweet. Please have another hand for Sidra, please. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming back Sunshine. Hey.
Oh, that's the perfect height for little people. Hmm?
Thanks, George.
So I'm going to read you something that I wrote called Inner Thrones. I'm going to start kind of halfway. But I forget what I was going to say. Holy shit. My brain just went completely blank. I love to write. I've always written. I'm not the genius like the other guy or crazy like the other guy, but I have a thing that I do where I see a lot that's going on around me that I think, sometimes we've gotten so used to seeing certain things happen around us, it's almost like we become numb. So I thought this was a really cool way to show that. Okay, don't get paranoid after I've read this, okay? I'm not seeing everything. Okay, so it kind of starts, just to give a preemptive, it's a simple thing. I'm just going to get blood drawn. I've 12-hour fast. And where I've walked in, we've got people standing by the door, family standing by the door, and we've got, nobody has names because I don't know any of these people. So I named the one guy, the walker guy, because he's sitting right next to a chair that's empty, that if he just sat right there, everybody would be able to walk through the path. But no, we can't do the simple, obvious thing. No, we're going to sit where we block the entire path and nobody can move and everybody has to walk all the way around. So where was I in that story? I swear I had it lined up. 12-hour. Okay, choosing to speak to the guy sitting next to the empty seat instead. Is anyone sitting here? The guy says no, which makes me feel the good vibes is just going and going. I place my jacket on the back of the chair. It's orange It's orange colored, shows off my wild personality. I mean, I'm sure you couldn't tell. And my fuchsia hair, shock. Woot! I'm in the middle of this joy, sitting there. I thought I had to walk around everyone in between rows like a little pretzel just to get to the seat, because a guy with a walker is parked 2 seats in, blocking the path everyone needs. There is an empty seat directly to his left beside him, because there would be no other chairs in front of him, and next to him would be the front door. Not to the outside, it leads directly to the hallway with another large office and pharmacy inclusive across the hall. Just that one move opens the entire row for all to walk freely. He never does. I needed to go to the counter I needed to go up to the counter. The other client had finished. Now I was completely present and aware, apologizing to everyone as I pretzeled between rows instead of the intended path to get to the counter. I get up and register and head back to my seat, doing the pretzel walk again. It was ridiculous. The guy sitting to the right of the guy with the walker says, "Why don't you sit over there?" The seat that would open up the entire row. Really? I thought. Like he was doing me a favor. I said nothing. Meanwhile, a deaf guy, realizing he was being forced out of the front row, stood making his apologies as a man in a wheelchair didn't just park, but took up the half the front row. "I'm sorry, I'm deaf. I sit at the front row so I can hear when I'm called," he said repeatedly. He was practically bowing just for breathing in this stranger's rarefied air. He pretzeled his way through the entire row, now sitting next to the woman who had a child in her arms. He immediately apologized to her, shot up like something had fired up his ass, and offered her and the sleeping child in her arm the seat, as he repeated the same mantra, "I'm deaf, that's why." And blessedly, I didn't hear the rest. Despite the woman's insistence that she didn't need it, the woman on the other side of the deaf man also got up. Incidentally, the same woman I had to make an apology to for going up and down the row. Her face appeared deep in thought. She got up, walked backwards in the road towards my direction, inconveniencing as many people as she could with very little thought. She turned and headed straight for the guy with the walker who was currently blocking everyone. Empty seat, still available. My hero. She looked every bit the part, dressed upper class with razor-sharp pleats and old enough not to be questioned. The one everyone felt had earned the privilege with zero effort. She walked past Walker in the way guy in complete silence. You know, the one who originally gave me such a hard time just for sitting? She's just some woman who's used to people responding to her whims, who snares and snaps at you with her lips showing teeth, like you'll steal her purse if you got too close. If Walker guy on the way guy believed they were of the same station, he should have said something, literally anything, and he would have learned that lesson. Me? I would have enjoyed watching that little opera unfold. Oprah. His head whipping back so hard and so fast, he would still be in a neck brace. Do you know he even held his walker so so as to make her passage easier, and if he had no idea why the walker would be blocking her in the first place. And I thought, this was the match. It was silent, but already ablaze in my chest. My name was called, and I stood. My back ached, my legs are powerful. I walked right past that man with the walker in the way. Being a bigger girl, he'd have to hold on to it, and in case it flew, and not to have it pitch into another direction. A tiny grin on my face. I went up, provided the rest of my papers, ID, etc., for my blood test. And on my way back, only to be given another suggestion from the guy sitting to the right of the guy with the walker in the way as I walked past. I'd had enough. It didn't matter what he was saying. I said calmly, cool, even. This room is filled with people calmly going about their day, doing whatever they need. I wonder why I'm the only one requiring so much directive. Loud enough for the room to hear without yelling. Non-specific statements directed at no one in particular. Since he was one of three handing out directives, he was just more persistent. He came back with, "Why don't you be quiet and sit down?" His voice probably a little higher than intended, but the whole room had heard him as heads turned. I didn't even look in his direction when I said, "Correct. Why don't you," I exaggerated, "be quiet?" And on that note, I walked to the front and asked about Wi-Fi and exited the space temporarily, leaving my jacket as the only evidence I was returning. Removing myself in a timely fashion was intentional. I was not going to allow discussion, clapback, encouraging others to join in. This was me setting a boundary with no room for debate. I was shutting it down. I re-entered the room and took my seat, walking past Walker in the way guy. No one spoke, but many looked over their shoulder. Neutral. Perfect. As I sat there waiting to be called, phone in hand, the appearance of total distraction, I could hear the soft voice of deaf guy apologizing to someone else. And I could feel myself rolling my eyes. I was sad for him as much as I wanted to shake him. He reminded me too much of a younger me. More? Can I do more? Okay. I observed a man who had been sitting on the right of the front row rise, walk past wheelchair guy. Under his breath, a whisper, really, "Buddy, why don't you move your chair over there to the back?" The frown on that man's face showing he hadn't expected an enthusiastic adherence. But he said anyway, to me, that felt like kinship.
Another hand for Sunshine. Please join me in welcoming Nia. Yeah. Or you want to stand or sit? Cool.
Thank you. I think so. Hello. Hello. Like Jen, I am a community organizer, and so I don't often share work. So it's a total pleasure to share a little something with you tonight. So thank you all for staying to listen. Thank you. So I'm going to do 3 poems. I'm going to do semi-new stuff, old stuff, and then very new stuff. Yeah? And I'll just go in a full rhyme of it all. It's Mother's Day, and the piano in apartment 502 has stopped playing. A fight has begun, stomping feet, thrown shoes, and FUs thwarted less accurately. I'm hesitant to move. After 10 weeks of social distancing, I know that this moment can go either way, so I pray for the slamming of doors, a confirmation of white flags. After 10 weeks of social distancing, I know that my neighbor in apartment 602 tells me her name is Jules and his name is Ivan, and that Ivan steals cars for a living. My superintendent refers to him only as a metal scrapper and a problem. Either way, both descriptions of Ivan explain the flat cart that sits outside their apartment piled high with dirty steel parts. After 10 weeks, I know that the 10 a.m. clogging on floors is Jules running in platform heels from the back wall to the stripper pole that they've installed in the center of their living room. I know that the metal will screech as Jules' body spirals on the pole, and it'll thunder with a twang as she dismounts. After 10 weeks, I know that Jules and Ivan will blast music and resurrect migraines whenever they damn well want to. And after 10 weeks of social distancing, I know that moments of peace are not long-lived. I think to myself, I don't know how they can live like this. And then I realize, I don't know how I can live like this. This apartment was supposed to be a stop along the way to having a better life, to finding peace. I remember when I was a kid, home was somewhat chaotic and uncertain, but mostly after a day of hard play, home was a shelter and a place to eat and fall asleep. When I was married, our home was chaotic and uncertain. Perhaps now I'm just living with my ghosts. I've learned to work myself into exhaustion and collapse as if being swallowed whole. This is my adult shield. Work until you don't feel the longing. Numb yourself to tolerance. Be so busy you're too tired to dream of a garden or a quiet place to work and another one to pray. Wear yourself thin, weeping lovers you don't have and all the ones who got away. Fill your spare time trying harder and failing your own expectations, and every day just leave yourself with a little less light than you give. This is the prescription to tuning out your life and calling it home. I love your skin. I love the way my hand glides across it like a passage of time. Your skin is a canvas I want to paint myself in. Because if we were still kids, we'd be like best friends. And it'd be cool if I fell in love with you just because. Just because there's something about you that feels like the sky just bent down and kissed me. Like in an alternate universe, rivers are chasing streams, looking for grass to sway and smile at the moon. I feel like I've been crushing on you for 1,000 years. And it sounds crazy, right? Because there's no actual way to prove any truth to this statement, but when you hold my hand, it feels like home. Like warm summer nights misted with ocean and cradled in palm breeze, I feel safe. Sensing tremors of bass contained within your skin, I hear music. Come closer. Because if I could paint myself in your skin, we'd still be kids and you'd be the first one I'd want to kiss. Although the fear of making the relationship weird, we probably never would have kissed, you'd still be the first one that made me feel something. And I'd go home and totally practice makeup moves on my pillow as if cotton sheets could emulate your skin or lips. I'd do it anyways, because that way I could confirm that it was your face pressed against mine as I fell asleep, and little things that leave us breathless make fairy dust linger for lifetimes. And if feelings create light, and light is a blessing, then I am incandescent and filled with the sun, like innocence erupting night sky with galaxies of saffron stars, sparking the history felt between strangers and stories we never wrote ourselves in. Because if I could paint myself in your skin, we'd still be kids. And see, the cool thing about me and you, if we were still kids, is that we'd be unscarred by relationships of yesterday. And your battle wounds wouldn't make my heart contract. They wouldn't have the ability to confirm that nagging sound inside my head that keeps telling me, see, still not good enough. So when you say that you're afraid that maybe something better's on its way, if we were still kids, I'd tell you, you're just being stupid. And then I'd totally take you swimming and swim between your legs and pants you, embracing my role as the forlorn reject and your foolishness as a genius outcast. I'd have the courage to let things unfold, knowing that I've been painted into your skin. And if I let you go, then I get to be part of the path that leads to you feeling loved, and that's pretty cool. Because if we were still kids, we'd be like best friends. And it'd be cool if I fell in love with you, just because. And then this is just one last poem. I want a Sunday kind of love, where the heavy slips into faded photos, and simplicity kindles me hot like cocoa and lingering dreams. A love that wakes up the sun, with forgiveness still sweet on the lips, like kite streams that tug too hard, but we were willing to let go. Yesterday, when we belonged to love stories, scattered like leaves across the floor, evidence that something mattered. The smell of promises we never made, promises we wanted, I wanted, softly settling into a Sunday kind of love. Thank you.
Keep it going for Nia. It's great. Your first poem. Oh my God! Is there anything more Hamilton than being somebody who steals cars? Did you ever see? I don't know if anybody saw it, but that Terrence O'Dette in town. He's a filmmaker. He made a series that I think you can see on Bell Media. It's called Bike, and it's about a guy who steals bikes, and it's set in Hamilton, and it's just like. It just made me think of that. It was just like the most Hamilton thing ever. Just the guy who's out getting the bikes. There's a great scene where he steals one of the Kojiko bikes or whatever they are, the ones, the bike share bikes, and he's biking up the mountain, and there's a cop biking up behind him because of course they've got the GPS on them, and so he's biking up the mountain and the cop's biking up behind him, and they're both just going like. It was like, and that's got to be like the archetypal Hamilton chase scene. So funny. Please join me in welcoming our next reader for the night, Conrad. I think you're taller than I. Do you want to stand or sit?
I'll stand.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name's Conrad. I am mostly a musician. I'm going to do spoken word of like a few songs that I do. Right on. I perform as, my stage name is Riot Nerd. It's like Riot Girl, but for nerds. It's like a 30-year-old joke, but I'm still riding it. So anyway. So the first one I'd like to perform for you is inspired by my friend who I came here with, Harrison, and his dog. He read the children's story earlier. It's called The Dog Riler. You've heard of the dog whisperer. Well, I'm the dog riler. We are opposing forces locked in mortal combat. He tries to civilize them while I work to drive them wild. We're kind of like dogs, yin and yang, and yeah, that makes me yang. He sure does seem like a nice guy bringing canine calm, but do we really need more domestication? Look at the numbers, fewer and fewer animals in the wild. So I'm kind of like a freedom fighter. That's why I rile. Because you know, dogs pay a price for their feathered beds when they get as fat and bored as the humans that feed them. Have you ever seen a dog running through the woods? They leap and thrum with joy that maybe we've forgot. You know, riling is playful, but some dogs don't get that. They get so serious and they bristle and snarl. I guess every revolution has its Bolshevik mobs. Now I know how Leon Trotsky felt, hoisted by his own petard. Some of my finest riling comes through effortless effort. The dog just sees me and riles while I stand still and calm. I watch the frantic blur of fur and tongue from the eye of the storm, and I know my work here is done. You've met the dog whisperer. Well, I'm the dog riler. We're opposing forces locked in mortal combat. He tries to civilize them. I work to drive them wild. It's kind of like a moral issue if you stare at it long enough. That's the dog riler. The next one's called Gumption Underwater. Have you seen my gumption around? I seem to have misplaced it somewhere. Maybe it's the weather or the time of year. I imagine him in his underwater lair, rubbing his hands together and plotting how to take a months-long nap. Those times we had, my gumption and me, I miss those times we had. So I handmade posters and taped them to telephone poles, and then I called the milk companies and asked, do you still run ads on the side of your cartons? Because I feel as empty inside as your underfilled products. I imagine him in his underwater lair, and I hope he's happy there. Maybe I somehow mistreated him with small acts of neglect or other venal sins, but I regret this now. The river flows away, maybe to return as rain someday. So please keep your antennas up and your eyes well peeled. Let me know if you've seen him. He's a playful scamp, sometimes compassionate, occasionally hilarious and absurd. He might be picking his nose or fighting a bear or yelling on a street corner somewhere. He might be trying to teach something he barely knows. Please let me know how well that goes. Thank you. And my last little piece I'll do is written from the point of view about a man filled with so much passion that a few years ago he drove probably about 5,000 kilometers east to try and fulfill his dream. Let me make sure I have this one. I want freedom to do whatever I want. Like I'm living in a world without any other people. So if you're in the mood for some Alberta crude, we could be wolves among the sheeple. I've got this thing for pretty, pretty men. The more princely, the better. And if they're left of me in the polity, my desire is unfettered. I carry a sign that says, fuck Trudeau. I hope my wife doesn't know that I think about him all the time. My teeth, they grind, and my eyes, they shine. I talk about him passionately, but why won't he come and talk to me? Justin, come to me, stutter in my ear romantically. I think about you all the time. I've got a different kind of mandate on my mind. I think I have a chance with him, Bank Street hot tub man on man. We could bounce in the castle. There would be no harm if you were to tumble in my arms. I grew my beard 2 feet for him. Secret man crush is no sin. For thee, I'd stand on guard. The maple leaf, it makes me I drove across the country, oh, truck food, oh. It built me up an appetite to truck food, oh. My dad felt the same way about your dad. It's kind of weird. Please don't be mad. Thank you.
Give it up again. George wanted to point out that you look a little bit like Mark Carney from the side. Well, folks, that brings us tonight to a close, at least as far as the entertainment portion goes. There is still, of course, sorry. What I meant to say was we have one more performer, and that's why I wanted to make a couple of announcements, because we still got Blitz with the Litz. I'm excited. There's pizza, there's alcohol. Please feel free to stay afterwards, but for now, give you your final performer for the evening, Blitz with the Litz. Does that get that right? Do you want to just?
I'll do it without a speaker, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, just, I'll do it. Let's take a seat. You guys can all enjoy yourselves. You know what I mean? Just be a guy with a few words. But
Let me give you.
To get on the recording, the mic is useful.
All right.
That way it gets on the recording.
But life is consciousness of like consoling from what was a science, though. So what it is concealing is not a reliance, but it is what is more of a renaissance from where it came from essence. That is what it came from the actual nuisance, because the N had to be from the A to the abundance, what somebody said earlier. But with alleles is also an alliance. We have to know what L's you take from your own resemblance. So something to take time in the memory of remembrance. You know, November at the end of the year is more than just a time that we're kind of needing to reconstruct from what was a con or what was connecting. So it was just the negatives is the con, right? You know how like the negatives, like electrons, it's like the Trojan horse that we all kind of ride on. There's more than a stance that we actually know what is a man to be on the moon, to being what was Saturn. But it was more than what was soon needing to have that room that did the 8 to being two objects paired to the being what was a response. But it's just that what is a respond is a pod that we all been pawned, you know, in a way that we got to know where we got to be a reckon from the recon. It is more than what we've really remember on. We always object ourselves, but we never subjected to being what is a line right through the 8 on. You know, the dinner plates, what we've been done, has done already the Superman before you actually knew that was superb to the support that we've actually been a rely on. That's where the treasure in our life is more than what we lay the Pringles to be in the tube that we had to be on the rocket to be that flag that been to own on. Yeah, like well, every country that we talked about being a counter to our own tribal entry. That was what it had to be a symphony. As the S has been synchronicity. I mean, synchronizing was a hypocrisy because people didn't believe that also that that they landed on the moon because of the barriers, that there were the layers of being very constructive and very hard to kind of go through the contradictive of gravity and what was of none. That's really what nuns and son and fathers of more than what we've really flew on. You know, this earth, more than we could be an angelic angle, has done from the relics that we've been a relay on, or did the melee. Because you have to hand the baton to somebody. The baton is literally like the words that really respond to being the tongue to talk on, but with being the hand. That's just what really became more of the wholesome whole that we knew the black from the shine on. We had to go really through a bowl to be that dinner plate on. You know, that's why like a lot of time, like especially in retirement homes, that you put the bowl onto a plate a lot of the time. You know, and also it's a way to kind of give elegance. That's what Els did, the alliance of respecting the elders. Anyways, that's what our lighter systems and because we got to be liars a little bit within the dark and the night slayers. And the fair to being a nay, to being that sayer, is more of a screen protector that is of a artificial inseminator. It's more than a stimulator that we need to actually take the time to what we actually have to break down and to be a repair on. As a really, I just had to say a little speech at the very end of this and just been able to talk on. Okay.
Dude, I think that was the most perfect stream of consciousness I've ever heard in my life. That was really interesting. Thank you for that. Everybody, this whole evening is just predicated on this notion I have that everybody is creative and that it's really important to have a place to share your creativity. And I think that everybody has really proved that today. I can't tell you how honored I feel every time that we get to do one of these things. We'll be back next month, I think it's the 15th. And then on the 16th, we're doing the 80s dance party, which I DJ under the name Gen X. We have one tomorrow. If you want to come out and dance, please do. It's 7 to 11 p.m. tomorrow night at Center for Talking Arts. There are always great things going on here. You can catch the comedy stand-up open mic every Thursday. Mike Derbacher does a storytelling night, and he also does something called Off the Page, where he reads scripts. Thank you all so much for coming and sharing your creativity and for sharing in each other's creativity. Again, the bar remains open, and good night, everybody. Oh, and if you. Isn't that terrible? And if you would like to get your performance to take home with you, you just see Jake at the bar. It's $15, 5 cameras, really exciting, beautiful. That's about it. Yeah, you can turn the lights out. Thank you, everyone.
Smell.